so we didn't catch up yesterday. How was the session yesterday?
Um, I think I won by a little bit. I'm gonna check real quick. Yeah, the rakeless tally was I was up 17 big blinds, and I won about a buy-in and all in EV. We played a really weird hand too. Before we get into anything, I'd like to show you,
There you go.
which I thought was peculiar.
Yeah, you can just share your screen.
Okay, right here. We're like 120 big blinds effective. We're just over. Raise call. I 2x the turn and he jams 120 big blinds effective, which I thought was interesting. It's obviously pretty bad, but yeah, I just wanted to show you that. Me and Marcus were we got a chuckle out of that one. He won one of the runs.
Yeah, it is a bit strange. Um,
Yeah, and the results of the challenge so far are Poker Tracker is not super accurate, but I calculated it out to be like 22 and a half buy-ins or something in that vicinity. And I'm around a buy-in above EV.
Twenty-two and a half, is it?
Yeah.
Is is there hands that are missing? Because it shows up in the database here. You got 24.
Yeah. I think he won a lot of the hands that are missing.
Okay.
I think what oftentimes happens is we play a big hand. I get put in a tough spot on the river. I decide to call the river. He has the goods. I get up to reset my time bank. The hand history doesn't save. And I think it's the same on his end. So it's likely that between us, we have just about all of the hand histories. But each one of
Okay.
us is probably missing a few. But the results that I get are based on the transaction history. And then what I
Yep.
do is I subtract the difference between the raked results in Poker Tracker and the unraked results in Poker Tracker. And I add that to my results based on the transaction history to get the unraked results on the entire challenge. And that's exactly correct because I don't play on ACR outside of this challenge.
Yep. So what's your C reckless for all the hands?
So in Poker Tracker, it's a bit higher, I believe.
Okay, so
But
you got 60 more hands than I do.
that's odd.
Two,
Yeah.
nine, two,
Oh,
nine,
wait.
one.
No. Hold up. This should be correct.
Okay,
I
yeah,
played,
yeah, that's
I
the same.
played a few hands to get the hotkeys and whatever working on ACR. So this is the heads up challenge sample. So it's 92-13.
Oh, great, nice. Yeah, that's what I got. Um, okay. Is there any other hands that you want to look at?
Not really. Uh, I do have a few notes I took from past couple days. We'll start off with the notes I took one. I guess it was Thursday. Um, we looked at that. Could we look at the barrel frequencies after different c bet sizes from him?
Yep. Okay, so you want to look at his barrel frequency.
Yeah, I want to look at his turn barrel frequency after 75% flop bets, and I would also like to look at the river barrel frequency and his delay c bet line. So checks back flop, bets turn, and how often he bets the river. After we look
So which
at
bet size did you want to look at?
so for this one, I'd like to look at when he c bets the flop in single raise pots, but at 75% is the size he usually uses.
So you usually uses 1/3. So this 75
Yeah,
is the strange size that you want to look at.
yeah. He uses 1/3 and 75% in single raise pots in position. And I would like to look at the frequency with which he barrels the turn.
Yeah, so
After
here is turn barrel frequency is at 53%, which is
okay.
significantly higher than um
So if that's the case, could we look at it if it's not 75%? If it's the 1/3? Because if
yeah, when
even
it's the
higher,
1/3, when it's the 1/3, it's 34%.
oh wow, yeah, that's tiny. Wow. Yeah, it should still be around 50%.
Yep.
I think given the fact that he basically very rarely folds to check raises when he's 75%ing on the high boards, I think just like the exploit would just be to massively overfold to the 75% pot c bet.
Sure. Like the alternative here is to um check raise the small bet a shit ton more.
Mm-hmm.
Just so that you don't have any as many good hands in your calling range.
Yeah, I thought about that, but it's a bit interesting because he doesn't see bet the turn very often, but when he does, he fires river way too often. So it's like they'll under realize on the turn, but if they do face a c bet on the turn, it's like they'll way over realize. So it's kind of difficult to exactly exploit that.
He's betting 54% on the river when he bets small and then bets the turn.
Oh, that's actually,
So it's not that much.
yeah, that's not that bad. That's interesting.
Yeah, 60%. My bad. Let's see the river.
Oh, okay, that's a bit high.
I mean, to be fair, there's only been 50 hands where he's bet the turn. So after he's bet small on the flop. Um, is that right? Yeah, 56%. I mean, so I wouldn't say that he's betting the river too often. Like if he's just overbetting the turn, there's a very polar range, and then giving up, and this is sort of the c-bet frequency you would expect.
Okay.
So when he bets pretty small, he's checking back too often, so you can just weaken your checking range by not having any of those delayed check raises. So
I
instead of
see.
having, so you know how in the solver some strong hands will call and then check raise a turn.
Hmm.
Just don't do that. Just check raise them on the flop instead.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
Are there any other stats that you want to look at?
Yeah. Let me get him. Um, on four straight rivers, it feels as though he's under bluffing. So I'd like to look at that. Outside of that, yeah, there's some other spots as well. So we could just filter for showdowns and just look at all the showdowns.
So on the four straight rivers is massively overfolding, I think.
Oh, really?
Well, here's fold through a bet is 54%. So it depends what your bet size is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really doing too much over betting on four straights. I think I do
Yeah.
a little bit, not much. Like the average bet size is definitely gonna be under pot, especially considering like quite a bit of block bets, especially out of position.
I'm pretty on that one.
Yeah.
Here we go on that one.
That hand was frustrating. was in the middle of
Okay.
a rough session. And I was like, flop the super nuts, lose.
Yeah. We won. Did we go through this one?
Yeah, we went through this one a couple weeks ago. Oh, it's a bluff. I think that's the first bluff.
Yeah. What's that? 1 out of 15. But yeah, probably just fold everything. That
All right, we'll do. Fold everything on the four straights.
yeah, yeah.
I felt like it was like
Just don't have any pure bluff catches there.
yeah, I felt like he was under bluffing the spot, but 1 out of 15 is a bit egregious. Other
Yeah.
than that, can we check his fold to c bet and three bet pots? Can we check his while we're at it? Can we check his fold to every single barrel? So fold to flop c bet, fold to turn barrel, fold to river barrel.
Yeah. We'll look at the four flushes as well.
Oh yeah, this was way too thin. It's like the check down.
You bluff that time. Okay, nice. Why did you make this call?
Uh, I thought he might be over bluffing the spot, given. So my thought process here, and I do remember my thought process here was his three bet range is constructed of too many suited hands. It's going to be blocked by the suited high cards, and there's a good chance he's over bluffing spot. Um, and I didn't think he had very many offsuit hands, which offsuit hands do better on the four flush boards because they make more flushes on the four flush boards than suited hands. So I thought he was more likely to have a suited hand that was just like complete airball, and he was probably over bluffing the spot. We showed up with queen jack offsuit, which is like not really a three bet, but it is offsuit. So had to update my analysis. I believe that was also like the first day I started seeing him three bet me with offsuit stuff. So
Yeah, so out of 14, he's only bluffed 2 times when the suits are 4 to a flush. So yeah, just don't call anything either when it's 4
Got
to a
it.
flush. It would be similar if it's 5 to a flush or 5 to a straight.
Oh yeah. Over folding to or his fold frequencies to the barrels and 3-bet pots.
Sorry. Uh, what was your question again?
Um, actually, before we get to that, can we look at what he's shown down after 4-betting? Because I've seen him 4-bet king 4 suited specifically multiple times, like that specific hand. And I feel as though it's likely he has like a very specific hand set that he's 4-betting, because like I think I've seen king 4 suited like 3 times and jack 10 offsuit a couple times. And so he might just be like pure 4-betting very specific combos.
Yeah, so this is all the hands that he's 4-bet and shown down. Sorry, this is all the hands that. No, hang on. Yeah, this is all the hands that he's 4-bet and shown down. The ones above, the ones above this.
Okay.
King 4s. Yeah, it's 4-bet. 3 times.
Jack 10 offsuit is in there. Ace jack offsuit. How many times does ace jack
And also
offsuit?
it's 50%. It's 1 out of 7.
Oh, 1 out of 7. Okay. I see. I see. Hmm. Okay, so it does seem fairly likely that he's pure 4-betting king 4 suited and jack 10 offsuit potentially.
Yeah, Jack
Jack
and
10
also
offsuit.
it's 50%.
Oh, it's 50%. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. What else is he bluffing with? Ace 9 offsuit. Is that just 1 out of 1?
Yeah, it's 1 out of 1.
Okay. That seems reasonable. So let's keep in mind that on a 4-4-4 board, he has some quads. Outside of that, yeah. So let's check his defending frequencies in 3-bet pots after calling a 3-bet. We're gonna have to divide it up by c-bet size because I use a bunch of different c-bet sizes in 3-bet pots.
Okay, sure. This is a fold to flop, so about 31% overall.
Yeah, look at between 20% and 34%. We'll look at like the small C bets, and then we'll look at like the bigger ones. I don't really half pot. I don't really bet 2/3 pot. I might do a little bit of half pot, but not much. I do some 2/3. Yeah, I do some 2/3. It's 14%. That seems
Yeah,
low.
so he's floating too wide when you bet small.
Mhm. Okay.
Raise frequencies at 10%.
That raised frequency seems fine. What are your takes on it?
I mean, it depends on what size you bet. The trick here is because this fold to flop C bet is too low, you just bet the turn more often.
Mhm.
You just keep betting small,
Wait,
just
wait,
keep
wait,
blocking.
keep that tag on. Keep that tag on. Let's look at the turn barrel. Let's look at how frequently he folds the turn to turn barrel. Um, I generally just go geometric on the turn. I don't block bet the turn too much.
Geometric now, fold to turn bet is 48%.
Yeah, that's high because we're usually
So
100 big blinds deep in 3-bet pots or close to that, and geometric is oftentimes less than pot, like oftentimes by a significant margin, like 60% or whatever, 67%, somewhere in that range. That seems very high.
yeah, so that's going to be very high. That's going to be a function of him floating the flop too wide.
Mhm.
So this is fine. Just bet small on the flop and then keep betting the turn with your bluffs, and then that's where your bluffs will print.
Mhm. What what's his river fold frequency in this line?
I mean, there's not going to be a lot of there's not going to be a lot of hands. Closer to about 45%. That's only 5 out of 11, so you can't really say too much. Might be a bit high if it's geometric. Like say you go quarter pot and then two thirds or something. And that's high.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I understand it's a pretty small sample. We
I
can't
mean, you
draw
can make
too.
of it what you want. You can probably definitely overbarrel barrel the turn with your bluffs after he falls a flop.
Mhm.
Because it's calling too
Yeah,
wide. So to definitely just keep betting the turn, and then the river will have to decide because the sample's too small to really tell whether he's overfolding or not.
mhm.
Definitely
Yeah,
going to be
in position
overfolding
has to
the turn.
call more than minimum defense frequency on the turn, or else I can bluff hands without equity.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay, and he doesn't seem to be doing that. All right. All right. Let me actually write that
Yeah, so you just three bet and then triple barrel basically. And you should be good with your three bet triple barrel bluffs. Like after you bet the flop, you definitely need to bet the turn because it's calling too wide.
down. Mhm.
Um, and the river is optional,
All right. All right.
but I think it's likely to profit. as a bluff. Yeah. I mean, the fact is, like, he's very much negative red line throughout. So look, yeah, for him, this is his. This is how he's playing in the three bet pot after he calls. So, in terms of BB 100, when he calls your three bet, he gets absolutely destroyed. Right.
Oh,
So
geez.
we would expect this number to be, minus above minus 250,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because he puts 250 in to open the pot, but he's calling and he's losing at 450. And this is because he's like overfolding, I think. Um, I mean, his blue line is also negative, so maybe that's because he's running bad. But the fact is, his red line is still negative after he's called a three bet, which is usually uh, not really going to be the case. Like after you've called a three bet, the red line will be negative, and the blue line will be uh, even, or the blue line will be negative, and the red line will be even. It's pretty like in order for him to be playing properly, one of these lines has to be even somehow. And like
Yeah.
if he's
Or just
overfolding,
lose at like 2.5 per hand. But losing at 4 per hand is a lot. Can we look at his fold to C bet when I use pot or over bet in 3 bet pots?
just for contrast, this is your call versus his three bet.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, minus 41, which is reasonable. Sorry, what was your question?
Let's look at his his defense frequency versus the larger C bets that I use, specifically pot and more than pot.
On the flop, is it
Yeah, yeah, on the flop.
in the two bet pod?
3 bet pot.
If you bet sort of two-thirds or bigger, he will fold 60% of the time.
Actually seems
Massive.
high.
Yeah, it's huge. It's massive. So this means that on average you would have to be overbetting by 1.5 in order to justify this folding frequency.
Hmm. Interesting.
So yeah, you can probably just bluff the flop for three quarters or whatever whenever you miss.
So he's overfolding versus the big sizes and significantly underfolding versus the small sizes. But against the small sizes, he overfolds later streets because his continue range against the flop C bet is too weak.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
so here if he calls the flop bet, only 19 hands, and then you bet the turn. I mean, depends on what size you bet on the turn, but he's folding 46%. And say for example he calls a turn. Yeah, there's only folded once on the river. 1 and a 4. So yeah, I mean, he's probably whenever he faces a fairly big bet, he overfolds, and then he underfolds by the time he gets to the river. Like once he's on the river, he's underfolding. So he's like whenever he faces a big bet, he's kind of expecting you to go all in. Um, and then he'll overfold that particular node. So the trick then is to just make a big bet and then stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Um, and let me see if that's everything I have. Oh, I think he's potentially picked up on the fact that I'm bluffing more in the double delay line. So if we could take a look at his calling frequency in the double delay, because that was the spot where he had folded like 48 out of 50 times.
Yep. I mean, this whole sort of bet here is a 90%.
Yeah, that over the past week though, that went down from like 96% to 90, which is, I
yeah, it
mean,
just
over
means
the
that
past
he's
week, he's been stationing quite a bit.
I mean, here it's since Monday. His folding is still 71%.
Okay. Okay.
If it's just sort of the last 2 days. Folding 66.7%. So I mean, maybe he's thinking about the line a bit more, but I wouldn't read into it. I would just keep bluffing him until the stat changes
Okay.
significantly. It's probably just card distribution of the last couple sessions. Like yeah, I mean since Monday it's still at 71%. So yeah, 10 and a 14 folds.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Well, that's all I had. There's something you wanted to look at?
Yeah, I'll show you a couple of
Oh, one
sims.
more
Did you
thing,
take a look at
actually.
these? Yeah.
Yes. So something I did want to bring up that wasn't in my notes for some reason. I think he's playing incorrectly against the 3.3. I think he might be overfolding against the 3.3.
Yeah.
It's like a very small sample, but
Yeah, he's overfolding and he's three betting too much so far. But the sample's too small to really tell. I mean he overfolds throughout. He overfolds against any size that you use. So
interesting.
yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Also,
Uh
I started playing not pure three better fold against the ISO, but like like 60, 70% three better fold against the ISO. and I've yet to be four bet, so I'm not sure he's caught on to that. Um, but it definitely worked quite a bit this past week.
Yeah, great. I mean, uh, against the 3.3, he should be folding 46%, but he folds sort of 51%. So he's folding 5% more than he should.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I mean, but that happens against any size that you use. So if you use a small size, like he's folding at 22 and a half when he should be folding at 19. So like some of these hands should be floats. Instantly against this size, like instead of folding at 35, he's actually folding like 39. So given that, I've put these frequencies into this sim. So this sim has just got the response to the open locked, but not the response to your free bets and stuff. So this is the partial exploit, the part exploit. So you can have an idea about how to do a partial exploit if you're not super confident, or at a later stage you're not as confident in his response to your four bets or whatever.
Second. So this is what exactly about this sim is locked to exploit him? Is it just his response frequencies to the open sizes?
Yeah, so this part exploit is just the response frequencies to your open sizes, but not the responses to the four bets. The max exploit will have the responses to the four bets slash limit re-raise.
Okay.
So this is sort of like a middle ground if you're not as confident in the four bet read anymore, or the versus three bet read anymore. You can fall back into this instead and play a little bit closer to GTO when you're facing um, his three bet slash his ISO.
Yeah, one of the reasons
Um,
why I prefer to exploit a little bit less extremely than I potentially could. It's kind of like have you ever heard the saying, you can shear a sheep many times, but you can only skin him once? It's like as soon as he saw the showdown with like 7-5 suited, I'm like, potentially the gig is up. But like, if we had just I feel like if you enact softer exploits, it can be harder for your opponent to notice and adapt. And I understand. I think we definitely have an advantage in terms of the speed at which we adapt, and there's a lot less guesswork on our part than I think he's doing. But at the same time, I think if we sort of exercise a little bit of restraint with the exploits, where it's like we
yeah, I understand
we
what you
take
mean. We can
yeah
we
the
can we can run we can run we can run more partial exploits rather than full exploits if you want. So I'll when this sim is done, this is only 40% done. When this sim is done, I'll send it to you, and I'll also send you the unlocked one. Um,
perfect.
but basically, this part exploit, because I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to three bet you at the same frequency, or try to three bet the same range against each of your sizes. So here I've just put the same range in his three bets, and then as a result, the solver will essentially just put all your strong hands into the big size, and then the weak hands into your smaller size, knowing that your opponent's going to three bet the same range for different three bet sizes. So if they're three betting um, to a bigger three bet size with the same range when you open big, then you should just put your strong hands into the big open size, which is what's happening here. Yeah, you've got like tens plus ace king at 50% frequency into the 3.3 size. Um, and if he's three betting you with the same range, regardless of which open size that you use, then you would just end up winning more by opening bigger because he three bets bigger. So he puts more money in with the same range. Does that make sense? So here is putting 12 and a half in when you open 3.3 versus when you open 2.1, he only puts 10 big blinds in. So you essentially end up winning an extra 2.5 blinds against his three bet when you open big, when you got a strong hand that wants to four bet.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
that
so
makes
then
sense.
your four bet frequency will be pretty high. So here it's like 21%
Damn.
against his three bet when you open big. So there'll be a lot of four betting going on there. Yeah, there's ripping it in
Makes
with the tens, the queen jack suited, ace king through ace jack,
yeah.
four bet jam. Okay, so the Sims will be done soonish. Yeah, I mean, even you can even sort of see it in the unlocked one. In the unlocked one, because it's only using the fixed sizes, like the biggest sizes use a slightly heavier, stronger hands. Um, but in this particular sim, like the solver will try to balance the fact that it's using a slightly smaller size three bet and use a slightly wider range. But if it's not using a wider range, if the range is the same, which I think he's what that's what he's trying to do. Like I think that he's just trying to use the same range against whatever open size that you use. And if that's the case, then yeah, you can pick up an extra um, so here 14.8 to 18.1, so you can pick up an extra three and a bit big blinds per 100 hands by um, making that adjustment to his the fact that he's three betting the same.
Lastly,
Yeah,
did you start running any of the deeper sims?
yeah. So I have
I
any.
know they take a bit longer to run.
So I've run all the size searching ones. Um, yeah, so I've run a bunch of GTO ones to search for the both three bet sizes, but they're not on this computer. I'll have to get them from computer over at my dad's place.
Okay.
Well, a bunch of
Okay.
computers. There's five six computers they're running at the moment. Um, so that'll have all the GTO sizes. So I'll look through those and then try to build a strategy for you for probably the 125 because his very better range. Because it's like 125 ish is probably when things start to change from him, like in terms of his three bet sizes, etc. So um, I'll take a look into what sizes that he's using and then create a strategy for you um, in the next day or two or three. Yeah, it will probably take a little while to run it. But 125
I
isn't that much. It doesn't take that much longer than 100. It just didn't know what sizes that he's using up until now because
Mhm.
you haven't been playing that many 125 compared to 100.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It another thing, it honestly feels as though, especially in the small blind, I'm probably winning quite a bit more uh, at the deeper stack depths, just due to the fact that my preflop strategy has a lot more flexibility. Honestly, it feels as though he becomes very passive once we get past like 150, 200 big blinds. Um, and I start opening like very high frequency, very big sizes, and it appears as though he doesn't really understand what's going on, and so he becomes extremely passive and doesn't understand how to react.
Um, yeah, that's the case. Yep. So like here, this is your winnings, 100 big blinds deep. So when you're around 100 blinds deep, you win at uh 7.5 big of 100. Okay, and
Mhm.
you're still relying him. But then when you're above 125, your win rate goes like this, so 60 big of 100. Um, so he really doesn't seem to know too much about what's going on when you're quite deep. I mean, there is only 2,000 hands here. So it's only about a quarter of the sample above 125.
Mhm.
Uh, when it does get deep like that, so when it's above 125 effective, like his 3-bet frequency drops significantly. It drops down to 14%. Um, I mean, he tries to open a bit wider, which is exactly what he should do.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like that's another advantage of the split pre-flop is that as opposed like you have a lot more options to get money into the pot rather than just opening a wider range with hands that are like now just barely profitable opens.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what can you do to capitalize on this? I mean, you can try to play deeper if you want, but the disadvantage of playing deeper is that the variance will increase. Um, so if you're okay with having slightly higher variance, then yeah, go for it. Play deeper and just be comfortable in the fact that he doesn't play as well when it gets a bit deep.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel as though like the variance increases as you get deeper, but his play style tightens up in a way that it actually mitigates the the variance increase as we get deeper. So it's like the deeper we get, the like he doesn't three bet as much. He's not he's opening wider from the small blind, but you can only open so wide from the small blind.
Yeah, maybe. Standard deviation has dropped off. Yeah, standard deviation when you're 100 blinds deep is 150, and then when it's 125 or deeper, you've got it here at 130. So it's actually decreased when you get deeper, which is a bit strange. So yeah, it probably doesn't. We're not playing as accurately. When deep, probably his 3-bet 4-bet frequencies have dropped off considerably. So I'll run those sims. I'll run one for 125 and another one for 150, um, so that you can get an idea about how to play those particular stack depths. There shouldn't be too many differences. Probably just the frequencies would be a bit different. If you want to use the same sizes, then that's reasonable. Except when you get to 125, there's probably a 15 big blind 3-bet size, 16 big blind 3-bet size, something like that. If you want so that to be added in. Did you start 3-betting to 12 and a half, or are you still 3-betting to 12?
Oh, I still do everything to 12.
It's all right. And then in the limp
I'm
raise, it's still 12.
no, I type it in. Type in 12.5.
Yeah, you can just set if you just set your. I think if you just um set the default button to 12.5, that would be good, because then
Okay.
I can run, because it helps if I can just run sims according to default buttons, and if they're the
Mhm.
same, then I'm not
Yeah.
going to make any mistakes. So yeah, can you set your default, one of them to 9 and one of them to 12.5,
Yeah, sure.
and then when you get deep, how many default buttons are you allowed?
I think 5. Yeah, I think it's 5.
Okay, is that for all preflop? So that would be, so
No,
you
no,
got
no.
three.
So one is you actually get different buttons for RFI and different buttons for an opened pot. So if the
All right,
pot has
okay.
already, yeah, if someone's RFI'd, then you get different buttons, which is
Okay,
cool.
so then the open would be 2.1, 2.7, 3.3, and then 3-bet buttons would be um 9, 12.5, and then I think there might be another one at 15,
Yeah, yeah, I would be
and
very
then
happy to start
float.
implementing a 15 big blind
Yeah,
three
yeah.
bet as well.
But that would probably only be used sparingly at 100 big blinds, and then more frequently at 125 and 150 deep.
Mm-hmm. Great. Great.
Okay, so I'll run those. So your three bet sizes will be 9, 12.5, and 15.
Anything else?
And then you can set your four bet buttons to 22 and 27 big blinds.
Yep. Yeah, I already have that set.
Great. Okay. Yep. I think that's everything. I will send you sims as they're done. I don't think we really need to chat tomorrow. There won't be too much to chat about. You should just go through the sims. Keep studying. How is your physical health? You've been exercising every day,
Yep. Every
eating
day,
well,
sleep
sleeping well.
schedules. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the sleep schedule was a bit off at the beginning. Like I would like wake up at like 6 a.m. randomly. But that has luckily gone away as my circadian rhythm has stabilized and I'm feeling pretty good right now.
All right, excellent. Yep. So just keep maintaining that. And then we will chat again. Uh, so Monday after you finish playing, directly after you finish playing. So you guys would finish at 6
Oh shit.
p.m. Is that right?
I forgot. Monday, I'm going out with friends on Monday night specifically. So
So you guys aren't
Tuesday.
playing then. All right. So yeah, we'll Tuesday. So yeah,
We'll be playing, but I'm going out with my friends immediately following the session.
yeah, that's fine. Okay. So yeah, you just play, do what you need to do. Yeah. When you do go out, try not to drink because you're playing the next day. So yeah,
Yeah.
just let them know that you're whatever. And then yeah, okay. So Tuesday will be the next day that we talk, and then we'll go through both of them. So yeah, Tuesday immediately after you guys finish playing. So you guys finish playing at 6. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And what times are there now? Is it 7:30 there now?
Yes, 7:30.
Okay, yeah. So it'll be so I'll see you at 6 on Tuesday your time.
Um, give me like
15 minutes, 6:15.
is it possible we could do it at 7? Because I like to do my own review after the session, going over the hands I had written down. I go over the hands, and then I eat food. Um,
Yeah,
and
sorry, I can't do that because I start work at 7:30, so we need to do it earlier.
okay, that's fine. Could we do it at 6:30 then?
Yeah, so we can do 6:30 half an hour, sure.
Great, great, perfect. Um, all right.
All right, see you then. So Tuesday at 6:30 after you've finished playing the session.
Yep.
All right, great. Talk to you then.
Bye.
Bye.